In the late 1980s, Saddam Hussein hired Canadian scientist Gerard Bull to work on a supergun, a technology capable of launching material hundreds of miles away. Iraq's neighboring countries were potentially in danger, but so was Gerard Bull. And what happened during this short period of time would shape history, geopolitics, and technology forever. Gerard Bull was born in Ontario, and it became clear early on in his life that he was a genius. At age 16, he was accepted into an aeronautical engineering course at the University of Toronto and was fascinated by rockets and space exploration. As a student in this field, he was very familiar with supersonic wind tunnels, which allow material to travel at supersonic speeds and are incredibly useful for aerodynamic research. But Bull saw problems with this, and this sparked a new, revolutionary idea. In the 1960s, when Bull was in his 30s, he looked into the idea of a supergun. Instead of using an expensive wind tunnel to test supersonic flight, material could be fired out of a gun at a supersonic speed instead. For space exploration, this was a potential game changer. Satellites are sent into space via rockets, and different rockets are used for each stage until it reaches orbit. This supergun could replace the first 1.5 stages of launching a satellite, which would drastically cut costs and make space exploration easier and much more affordable. In 1961, Bull worked on what's known as Project HARP, which stood for the High Altitude Research Project. This was run by the US and Canadian governments with the intention of bringing Bull's supergun to life. The US was allowed to test Project HARP on the island of Barbados. Here, Project HARP moved on to a 16-inch barrel on a gun that was roughly 65 feet long. Then, this was extended to twice that at roughly 130 feet long. With this technology, they could shoot projectiles 112 miles into the sky and reached a new world record. To put this into context, the Hubble telescope currently orbits the Earth at 373 miles high. So this could arguably provide for almost 1/3 of a satellite's journey. However, 6 years into development, Bull was hit with some devastating news. The Vietnam War was becoming incredibly costly for the US government, and they realized that HARP needed to be shelved in order to save money. Although Bull was deeply disheartened by this, he was determined to keep his dream of developing the supergun alive. He decided to focus instead on selling weapons as a primary source of income and have the supergun as a side project, or a side hustle as it would be known today. And because the US government canceled his work, he became less loyal to this country. It's unclear whether he was embittered by his past experience or simply figured that he could sell weapons to whoever he wanted to. Whatever the case, he controversially sold weapons and arms to the South African government. The reason why this was so controversial was because South Africa was then under its notorious apartheid regime, which discriminated against black South Africans. The UN had placed an embargo on selling weapons to South Africa, and the US also made this activity illegal. So, Gerard Bull, one of the world's most renowned scientists, had to spend 6 months behind bars. The jail sentence did not result in Bull seeing the error of his ways, and only hardened his views. He even continued selling arms to the South Africans, but next time round was only given a $50,000 fine. Bull felt hard done by once again and moved to Brussels in Belgium and operated as a European company. Nicholas Hall, keeper of artillery at the Royal Armouries, told the BBC, "I don't think he was the archetypal mad genius figure, but he was slowly alienating himself from the Western world." It was in 1981 that Bull was contacted by the Iraqi government to design weapons for the Iraq and Iran war. During this time, Saddam Hussein was only in power for 2 years and wasn't seen as a threat to the West. Instead, he wanted Iraq to be a leader in the Arab world. What really caught Bull's eye was the idea that Saddam also wanted Iraq to have a space program too. It was not until 1988 that Bull landed what he believed was a golden opportunity. He was paid $25 million to work on Project Babylon, where he was commissioned to develop the world's largest space gun. It was 12 years since Project HARP was scrapped, but now he could finally get back to work on his revolutionary supergun. To start off, the project had a small supergun named Baby Babylon, which was a 13.8-inch caliber gun. However, Baby Babylon was merely a prototype. The final supergun would be called Big Babylon. The gun was expected to be 511 feet in length and weigh 1,510 tons, or the weight of about 5 Boeing 747s. Because it was too heavy to be transported, the supergun needed to be mounted at 45 degrees on a hillside. The gun had the capacity to launch 1,322 pounds of material 621 miles away. This could have put Iraq on the map in terms of space exploration. But given what we know about Saddam Hussein, this could also be used as a weapon against neighboring countries. In May 1989, Baby Babylon was built and completed. Their next step was to work on Big Babylon. Everything was slowly but gradually falling into place. Gerard Bull was close to completing his lifelong ambition of having a supergun, and Saddam Hussein was on the cusp of having a potentially game-changing piece of technology. However, on the 22nd of March 1990, the course of history, geopolitics, and space technology would be altered in a leafy suburb of Brussels. On that day, Gerard was entering his apartment in the suburban town of Uccle. But before he could get in, 2 unidentified men appeared and shot him in the neck 5 times. As you can imagine, Bull did not survive this attack. When police investigated the murder, they noticed something suspicious. Because Bull's home had been broken into before, it was assumed that this could have been financially motivated. However, when he was killed, Bull had $20,000 in cash in his pocket, and this was not taken by his shooters. To this day, nobody knows who the perpetrators were. Some had leveled it as spies from countries such as America, the UK, Israel, Canada, and even the Iraqis themselves. Bull's family think it was Mossad, the Special Operations Unit of the Israeli government. With Bull out of the way, the Iraqis could still hire someone to pick up where he left off. And they had already ordered steel pipes from Sheffield in the north of England, which was world famous for its steel manufacturing. The steel was transported from Sheffield to Tees docks and was about to set sail, presumably to mainland Europe. One of the dockers at the time spoke to a local newspaper and said, "We couldn't pinpoint that it was a gun because it just looked like pipes." A few days later, Special Branch and Customs turned up and seized it. These 2 events in Brussels and Tees docks meant that the supergun was not going to be made, and the implications of what Saddam would have done with this technology can only be speculated. In 2009, a scientist at the US Lawrence Livermore National Lab called John Hunter worked on a project called Quick Launch, which hoped to pick up where Bull left off and make launching rockets much more affordable. However, internal issues stopped this project from happening. The obvious candidate to develop the supergun would be Elon Musk's SpaceX, whose whole business model is to make space travel and exploration more affordable. However, they are doing this by working with reusable rockets rather than developing a supergun. Hunter said that supergun is unlikely to be developed, but did not rule it out either. He said, "I think we'll see superguns again. There's a chance that I will take it forward if Elon drops the ball. But for now, we need too many miracles for it to work out." So what do you think? Would the world be a different place if Saddam got hold of the supergun? Let us know your thoughts in the comments now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel.